test, 1, 2. Test, test, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
As all the walls come tumbling down, closer than I've ever felt before. And I know, and you know, there's no need for words right now. And I can feel you breathe, washing over me, and suddenly I'm melting into you. There's nothing left to prove, baby, all we need is just to be. Caught up in the touch, the slow and steady rush, and baby, isn't that the way that love's supposed to be? I can feel you breathe. Just breathe. Caught up in the touch, the slow and steady rush, and baby, isn't that the way that love's supposed to be? I can feel you breathe. Just breathe. I can feel the magic floating in the air. Being with you gets me that way. back on these times and the dreams we left behind, I'll be glad 'cause I was blessed to get to have you in my life. When I look back on these days, I'll look and see your face. You were right there for me. In my dreams I'll always see you soar above the sky. In my heart there'll always be a place for you for all my life. I'll keep a part of you with me, and everywhere I am there you'll be. And everywhere I am there you'll be. Will you show me how it feels to feel the sky within my reach? And I always will remember all the strength you gave to me. Your love made me make it through. Oh, I owe so much to you. You were right there for me. In my dreams I'll always see you soar above the sky. In my heart there'll always be a place for you for all my life. I'll keep a part of you with me, and everywhere I am there you'll be. 'Cause I always saw in you my light, my strength. And I wanna thank you now for all the ways you were right there for me. You were right there for me. In my dreams I'll always see you soar above the sky. In my heart there'll always be a place for you for all my life. I'll keep a part of you with me, and everywhere I am there you'll be.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Louder? There we there we go. Just want to get this tightened. No, other way. No? Okay. Sorry. Go other way. Yeah. I told you the other way, gosh. Okay. Here comes Mark. He'll sort us out. Sorry, Mark. It's okay. Cool. Happy, happy, happy. All right. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? I would like to say thank you to each and every one of you that's here. I want to give you a very warm welcome to a very difficult and not such a desirable day to do such a thing, but it is an important day, and we are here to celebrate a very wonderful and beautiful life. There are many people that are also online, so for those that are online, I would like to thank you for being with us as well, even though you're not physically here, but it is appreciated. I was given so much information about Peter, but before I get there, let me do this. Okay. So I've welcomed everybody. What I would like to say that it's a true honor for me to be here today to celebrate Peter's life. I had the honor of marrying Garth and Delene apparently 18 years ago when I was a young man, and Kirsten and Conrad that are in the Netherlands. And we're here today to celebrate Peter's life. And Peter passed away, unfortunately, on the 26th of September of 2024. Now, standing in front of family and friends of a loved one that's passed away is not easy. It's a huge responsibility to honor the life of the departed in a way that creates closure and comfort for those that are in mourning. I've been given this opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes about Peter, whose life we are here to celebrate here today. As I said about this task on behalf of his wife, his children, his grandchildren, I'm very aware of the fact that I did not know Peter. I had him. Apparently, I met him at both weddings. But I didn't know him. And based on everything that I've heard about him, it really saddens me because he sounds like he was such an amazing person. Even though I didn't know him, that's okay. Because it's not about what I knew, it's about what you knew. It's about what you shared with him. And it's through every single one of you that Peter will be continued to be remembered. Now, every one of you sees your relationship and your connection with Peter in a very different context. Whether you're a sibling, a grandchild, a child, a family member, a friend. Peter would have been so pleased, I'm sure, and honored to see you all here this morning to share the celebration of his life. I'm sure that many of you shared a lot of support, not just leading up to his passing, but after his passing as well, and the well wishes and the comments, and we want to say thank you for that. So here we are. We are to celebrate Peter's life. And I believe a thing that would have probably been said was, "Oh my hat, it's a good day to go fishing." Sharon? Why are you guys stuck inside when you could be out fishing? So the story that we are going to celebrate today is a story that reflects the circle of life. A circle that is now complete. Every person here, I believe, has their own story. A circle of life that in some way overlapped with Peter's. And that's what I want to celebrate today. Who Peter was to you, what he was to the people that he interacted with and shared his life with. You all shared a relationship with Peter that is unique. Even though you might have shared the same relationship title with others here today, he was a brother, he was a husband, he was a dad, he was a granddad, he was a colleague, he was a friend, he was a fishing buddy. But each one of you, even with that same title as somebody else, had a unique relationship with Peter. And we want to reflect on that unique relationship. So he was born on the 12th of March, 1951. And over a span of 73 years, Peter has been on this journey through his life. A successful life, a good life. A life that we can be proud of. Peter left this world a better place because he was here. Agreed? Agreed? There we go. I want you to think and reflect on the shared story that you had with Peter. Peter was the eldest of 4 children. Please hope I get all of this right. Stancy? Stancy's here? Hello, Stancy. My condolences to you. Stancy, who is here today. Michelle, unfortunately, who is online with us, not here physically. And James. James is here? Hello, James. How are you? Good. Condolences to you as well. To every single one of you, by the way. Apparently, your elder brother was very grateful to be the eldest because he could boss you around, Stancy and Michelle. I think more so than James because you were hidden away for many years before you made your appearance. But Stancy, I believe, based on what I've been told, that Peter really enjoyed it when you brought friends home because there was a lot of flirting taking place. And that's always the benefit of having just that younger sister, you know what I mean? So, Stancy, James, Michelle, you guys have got so many amazing stories that you've shared with Peter. The 3 of you share the longest story with Peter. Please share those memories with the many and the stories that you have and the memories that you have and the stories with others. Because by sharing that, you give an opportunity for Peter to be alive in your hearts and your minds. I know, Stancy, you had many conversations with Peter. James, you had, Michelle would have had as well. Moments in time that you think back on and you think, wow, that was an incredible moment that we shared. And I'm sure there are many moments like that, but I really want you to tap into those memories and wherever possible, share those stories with the people around you. Sorry, guys, you're going to hear me say this over and over and over today. Share your stories, because I think that is incredibly important. Peter, he found Sharon. Sharon, condolences to you. I believe you were married 33 years? 30, 38, 30, 33, 38. Doesn't matter, long time, a lifetime. Sharon, I've been told that one of the happiest days that Peter had was getting married to you. That's what I've heard. That's what he said. Well, it was the happiest day, and then it, got better after that. But I do believe that he loved you very dearly, and that you shared so much time with Peter, and you know so many things that are not known to others in this room and those that are around the world. I urge you again to share those stories. But okay, Sharon, with a proviso. There's some things you can't share. Okay. Some stories that you shouldn't talk about. But other things that you can talk about, I would love you to do that. Because, even the kids, the grandkids, by just sharing something that they don't know about Peter, something that he experienced and you experienced with him, will bring his memory to the surface and make him very present in the lives of everybody that's around you. Peter had 4 kids. Peter's proudest moments apparently were when the kids were born. David. Is David overseas? Yeah? Overseas? Yeah? Good. Melanie is here. Melanie. Deline. And Kirsten, who is overseas as well. He said that it was the most beautiful, loving experience which filled his heart with peace and joy to watch the 4 of you being born. David, yes, I've got here. David is online with us today. Melanie's here, Deline's here, and Kirsten's overseas. Okay. His stepkids, Gail and Brian, where are you guys? Gail, Brian, yep, there we go. Condolences to all of you. I'm sure you knew that Peter saw you as his own kids and loved you as much as well. Oh, I was supposed to tell everybody to put their phones on speaker, not speakerphone. Please put your phones on flight mode. I should have done that earlier. My apologies. As Peter grew older, his value changed as far as knowing that the important thing was spending time with his family, watching his children grow and watching their children grow. Family came first for him, and he was proud of each and every one of you. You also have your own stories that you shared with your dad, things only known to you. Deline, things that you know. Melanie, things that you know. David, you know. Kirsten, you know. Please share those. I urge you to share those. Peter was very, very privileged to have grandchildren. David got an adopted daughter, Emma, with Michelle in the UK, I believe, yes. Peter and Sharon loved her or loves her as a granddaughter as well. Faith and Chase, UK, good. Gail and Dave's kids. And then Joshua and Callum are Melanie and Philip's kids. Where are you? Joshua and Callum? Yeah, look at you guys. Really appreciate you guys singing for us today. Oh, did you miss the memo? Okay, sorry. Harrison is Kirsten and Conrad's son. And obviously he's in the Netherlands. And we also want to think that Kirsten's got a baby that's just about to be born. So there's going to be another Baba. And unfortunately, Peter never got a chance to meet. Is it a boy or girl, do you know? We don't know. I'll give a 50-50 that it's going to be a boy or a girl. But whether it's a boy or whether it's a girl, Peter would have had another grandchild that he would have loved tremendously. Kaylin and Jared, are you guys here? They're online. Online. Fantastic. Those Goth's children from a previous marriage who also was loved as let me say that again. Who were also loved as grandchildren and accepted as grandchildren. As a grandchild, you were lucky. I'm going to speak to you, grandchildren. You were very lucky because you were exposed to your grandfather for the years that you had with him. I'm sure that you have many memories and special moments that you shared with him. Things that, again, are only known to you. Your grandfather was not the typical grandparent, apparently. He was involved very actively in your lives. He played a very important role for you and did so much for all of you. He was proud of each of you. Remember the advice, the love that he shared, and live up to that example. In addition to your presence here, we have received many messages of condolences and compassionate words from many, many people. And I want to urge everybody to share those words with other people as well. Can I quickly just go back to the grandchildren for a moment? I don't think people realize how valuable having a grandparent in your life is. I want to share a little bit of personal thing. You know, my 3 grandparents passed away before I was born, and the one passed away shortly after I was born. So I spent my childhood without having grandparents. And I've always been very jealous of people that had their grandparents in their lives for many, many years, especially when they take it for granted, because there's so much knowledge, so much life experience, so much joy, so much love that they would have received that I could have received as well if my grandparents had been alive. So please, if your grandparents are still here, share as much time as you can. All right, so let's have a look. Peter, was he selfless? No? Yes? Tireless? Determined? Good. He was very focused on his family throughout his life. In your pamphlet, there's some words been written about Peter, and I'd like just to read that because I think that sums up Peter in a very, obviously concise way. Peter was a man of wisdom, kindness, strength, and lived a life filled with adventure, laughter, and treasured memories. A devoted family man, he found his greatest joy in watching his children and grandchildren grow, and valued the time that he spent with loved ones more than anything. Throughout his life, he was hardworking and dedicated, serving as a leader in both his career and in the army. He had a passion for fishing, gardening, crossword puzzles, and of course, making jokes. Always with that twinkle in his eye, apparently. His legacy of honesty, perseverance, and love lives on through the lessons he passed down to his family. Though he's no longer with us, his gentle spirit and memories he created will forever be cherished by those who knew and loved him. Describes him so well. A circle of life has to have an ending. And for Peter, that happened on the 26th of September. And I was told that it was something like 10 years after he was given a diagnosis that he had cancer. And he survived for 10 years. And he had 10 beautiful years with his family. I believe that Peter has been reunited with those that have gone before. I have a strong feeling that he's celebrating with those people, seeing them, hugging them, looking forward to preparing for you guys to join him one day. Not soon, he said, not soon, but at some point. I want to ask you guys a question. I want to read something called His Passing. And I want you to answer these questions in your own mind. He is gone. You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he'll come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or it can be full of love that you shared with him. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live for yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. I'd like to call God to come forward, and God's going to share a few words, and then I'm going to do a few readings from a few people. Please.
Thank you, Troy. Looks like a lot, but the font's big. So don't stress. I'm going to try my best to get through this. Good afternoon to everyone who has joined us in person and online. Thank you for joining us in a celebration of Peter's life. Can I get some water? I'll do my best to get through this. You've all known Peter your whole lives, and I was thankful enough to have known him for the last 24 years. So I want to speak to you today about what Peter has shown me and what I've learned from Peter over the years. Now, many of you will have heard these stories before, but it's not so much the story, but how the story has impacted on me personally. And what Peter has shown me about the man, the son, the husband, the brother, the father, and the grandpa. My hope is that many of you can relate to your own story, and that there is a golden thread that ties us all together, and that thread being Peter. So let me start with a very little known fact about Peter. It may shock a few of you with this revelation, but I'm just going to say it. Peter was a stubborn son of a gun. Yep, I said it. Oh my hat. And I want you to keep this in mind, because stubborn is not something you decide you're going to be. Stubborn is something taught to you by your dad, by the army, by work, and yes, by walking 100 kilometers to school barefoot in snow. What your dad didn't tell you, Kirsten, was that was only one way. He still had to walk home. And there are other words that come to mind about stubbornness. It's grit, determination, dedication, loyalty, roll up your sleeves, never give up, or rather, I won't give up. If you want something done properly, do it yourself. I say these because his stubbornness is what gave me endless hours of joy with Peter, and we'll get to that later. Anyway, So I'm going to go back 24 years now. And Dee and I had moved to Cape Town. It was the first time to meet Peter and Sharon. The first get-together was special, and this was followed with, you guessed it, Nou gaan ons braai. I immediately liked Peter. The next couple of years became increasingly difficult as he kept asking me when I was going to make an honest woman out of his daughter. But thankfully, Sharon always had my back. And she would say, "Oh, Peter, leave them alone." I immediately liked Sharon too. She had my back. Then the day arrived, and I had to ask Peter for his daughter's hand in marriage. And I asked Peter, and he looked at me and thought for a second and said, "Yes, you can have my daughter's hand in marriage, but you will love her, cherish her, but above all else, never hurt her." And then he said, "You know, Garth, this is Africa, and you need to pay me lobola." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, how many cows?" I can't remember the total number, But after that, we had a braai. Anyway, a week later, Dee and I are doing some grocery shopping, and I went to go get something for her, and I came across a little plastic farm toy, which had cows and pigs in it, and goats. And I grabbed the bag excitedly, ran over to Dee, shouting, "I've got your lobola, I've got your lobola." And Dee just gave me what I can only describe as her dad's look. That expressionless, shocked look you give someone when they say something stupid. Peter had a way, he would always look at you from over his glasses and raise his eyebrow. And anyway, the following week we went over to Peter for a braai, and I gave Peter his lobola. We had a good chuckle, and on the day went. But I don't know if you all remember that cabinet in his house, in the lounge, when we went to visit him sometime later, and I liked looking in that cabinet at the memories. It was filled with trinkets from his mom and dad and photos of the family, and it was filled with a bunch of knickknacks. And on the top shelf on the right were my plastic cows. And I was a little shocked because they were probably about 20 rands worth of plastic. And I thought that would have been binned last week already. And I stepped back and looked at the cabinet, and I realized that he hadn't kept my cows, but that he had preserved a significant moment in his daughter's life. This cabinet was filled with special moments and memories from all of your lives. And it was what Peter held near and dear. He valued family above all else. Later, when he walked his beautiful daughter, Dee, down the aisle, I was told to put that in. You could see the immense pride and joy that he felt on that special occasion, a memory I will never forget. You know, when I was growing up and would bring girls home to meet my parents, they would never interfere, but usually after the breakup and the heartbreak, my dad would say, "You know, we didn't want to interfere, but she wasn't the right one. She doesn't have the same values as our family." I never understood that for a long time, until I met Dee and her loving family. That day I knew I'd found a home, that my values were aligned to this family's and theirs to mine. Another day that impacted on me personally, I can't remember the exact specifics, but I think it was Callum's birthday and we went paintballing. And Dad was roped in to help with, yeah, you guessed it, sausage braai. And Peter asked me to bring my grid along, my braai grid along, to help out, as he said there was going to be a lot of sausage to braai. It's time to braai, and Peter pulls out his braai grid, and I look over and say, "You didn't have to buy a new grid for this, Peter." And remember when I said to you about those looks I got a lot? I got one that day. Peter looks at me and he goes, I've had this braai grid for 10 years. And later Peter asked me to get my grid out, but I didn't want to because I was embarrassed because of the way my grid looked. I had about 5 years of chops and steak on it, and it was embarrassing. The very next day I went out and bought a grid just like Peter's, and if I tell you that I've had that grid for 10 years now, you wouldn't believe me. It looks brand spanking new, you wouldn't believe it. And if you open up Peter's braai today, you would see a clean ashtray, wood packed in the firebox, ready to be lit for the next fire, and a shiny, clean grid. That day, Peter taught me to be proud of what you have, respect what you have, and look after what you have. If I open my braai today, you would see a mirror image of Peter's braai. On a more scientific note, some of you may refer to this as OCD, but Peter and I would be okay with that. It would be remiss of me not to mention Pit today. I was reading through Kirsten's special and insightful notes on her dad, and I came across the name Alan Late, with whom he had been friends for over 50 years. But another lifelong friend is Pit, who joins us here today. And when I see the two of them together, it always makes me think of Trompi and the Boxumbender, the two naughtiest buggers on the street. And when Peter came out of hospital just recently, Pete was there to help him home. And I don't know if it was that day or the next day, but the two of them decided to go get a leg of lamb and put a Weber on. Peter loved that. And I'm sure he probably instigated that. And Peter said he'd had enough of hospital food. So he was ready for his leg of lamb, Weber. So through thick and thin, they have stood by each other in good times and decidedly hard times. And this has shown me dedication and loyalty to friendship. And now for Peter's passion, fishing. I have so many fishing stories, but I want to share some that shed a different light on Peter. My first fishing trip with Peter, I might be mistaken, but Brett, I think you might have been with us that time. I can't remember, I can't be exactly sure. But we launched here from Gordons Bay, and the sea was not my friend that day. It was one of my first fishing trips. And shortly after throwing anchor, I started going a bit green. I hadn't found my sea legs yet. I thought I would help Peter and Brett by starting to chum the waters a bit early. And I'm lying on the deck thinking, I wonder if this fishing knife is sharp enough to slice an artery. And I look up and Brett and Peter are eating sandwiches. Just the smell was the end of me. Peter offered me a sandwich, smiling, much to Brett's amusement. And then the two of them broke out into a song. I don't know what that song is, but apparently you sing it to people getting seasick. It's not pleasant. But Peter was not going to come back to shore. You were there for the day, no matter what. The worst 4 or 5 hours of my life. And in life, sometimes things don't go your way, but you roll up your sleeves and put your shoulder to the grindstone. He taught me to tough it out. Fast forward to a launch in the bay again here with Peter, Phil, myself, Josh, and Cal. Grandpa loved taking his grandkids fishing. Grandpa bought them their first fishing rods and tackle box for Christmas one year, and he would often take them fishing to this very pier. And anyway, sometime later we got out on the boat. Not a great day for fishing, but the kids decided to see who could catch the most fish between them, a competition of sorts. And Josh brings in the first little stripey, so it was 1-0 to Josh. Shortly thereafter, Josh started going all shades of green. Eventually, this poor boy was literally incapacitated. And there's the three of us trying to help Josh, give him advice, look at the land, take some water. And all we're hearing from the front of the boat is, got one, Josh, 1-1. A few minutes later, got another one, 2-1, Josh, I'm beating you. 3-1. Eventually we had to tell Callum to keep quiet. His brother was sick and the competition was over. But Peter looks at me and says, pull the anchor. So I said, oh, we're going to another spot. And he goes, no, we're going in. I just looked at him and wanted to say, do you not remember when I was not having such a nice time on your boat a few weeks earlier? Peter was a product of his era. Cowboys don't cry. But that day he showed me what immense compassion and kindness looks like. He wasn't prepared to let his grandson suffer like that. Me, however, no problem. I've spent many hours on the ocean with Peter, and I've been privileged enough to have a southern right whale breach not 100 meters from our boat, that you felt the shock wave in the boat when it re-entered. I was lucky enough to be a half a meter away from a great white, close enough to touch. We've even played chicken with a container ship. The container ship lost. Peter was at the wheel. And that ship is big. I still don't know how we ended up in the shipping lane of Straits Bay. We spent many hours just sitting in the sunlight in a vast ocean, neither one of us saying a word, not because we didn't have anything to say, but because it was food for your soul. It taught us humility and perspective, but most of all that it was a huge privilege to be just a small part in this wondrous creation. I hope that these stories that I've shared with you today resonated with you all somehow. And in your memories of Peter and how he impacted on all of our lives, The only thing that I ask is that you keep Peter alive in your memories and in your hearts, but most of all, keep him alive in your families. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you, Garth. It's never easy to stand and speak personally in front of family about somebody you loved and cared for so dearly. So, Garth, thanks. Did a great job. Kirsten has sent a message from the Netherlands, and she's asked me to read this, so I'm going to do that now. Today, as we honor my father, my dad, I find myself asking, how do you say goodbye to someone who's an inseparable part of who you are? How do you say goodbye to the person who has shown you time and time again what it means to be truly strong? How do you let go of your father, your mentor, your greatest supporter, and your friend? The truth is, you don't. This isn't goodbye. It's not possible to say goodbye to someone who has shaped you so profoundly. Instead, it's a promise to carry forward every lesson he taught me, to live my life in a way that would make him proud. His strength will be my strength, and his love for family and friends will be my guide. His grandson, Harrison, who he loved dearly, and our new baby due this month, who he sadly never got to meet, will know what he meant to me and to carry his memories forward. For every moment when I surprise myself with resilience and strength I didn't know that I had, I think of him. For every time I sit down to teach my children the lessons he passed on to me, I'll remember him. And even in the simplest moments, when I make a roast potato that turns out just right, take a walk along the beaches of Struisbaai, or enjoy a braai with those closest to me, I'll smile, because not only did he teach me the important things, he also showed me how to enjoy the small, beautiful things in life. My dad didn't just tell me how to live, he showed me. He taught me the value of hard work, the importance of kindness, and the power of laughter. He cherished his friends and family with everything he had, and he lived with a presence that could fill a room. And so I write this. I know one thing is for certain. I am my father's daughter. His legacy lives on in me, in the way that I love, in the way that I live, and in the way I will carry him in my heart for the rest of my life. This is not goodbye. It's simply the continuation of everything he's been to me and all that he has made me. David in the UK has also sent, I think he's UK? No, good. Has also sent a message that I'm going to read. What can I say about Peter that everybody doesn't already know? He was kind yet firm. He was a proud man and he dedicated his life to success in everything he did. But what I loved more about Peter was his dedication to his family and his open arms welcome to any new member of the family. And I was no exception to that. There have been so many awesome memories from being one of the fishing buddies to being his pommy who didn't know how to braai. I can still remember the first braai that Peter had bought me, and the night I christened it with my first ever braai. It was absolutely horrible weather, raining, windy and cold. The ladies were sensible and stayed in the house. Myself, Peter and Pete were determined, or crazy. It took us almost 15 minutes just to get the fire started. And then I got mocked as I managed to fill the whole grill with enough meat to last a whole week. But the best memory that I have, and I've been reminded of this many, many times by Peter, and I've been told it's one of his favorite memories. We were at Witstrand fishing and on the river, and on the way back we had to play rescue boat, as Brian and Josh could not get back from the sandbank apparently with the paddle boards due to the currents. So we headed over and Peter told me, jump out the boat and hold the boat. But I didn't realize that there was no sandbank. It wasn't there. And I subsequently jumped and I disappeared under the water with everybody's amusement. At least I made everyone laugh. So my final words are, rest now and enjoy your time with the angels. And we all know you'll be looking down on us, looking over us. You'll be sorely missed by everyone. God bless, Peter. Could I ask Celia to come forward, please? Celia, you're going to share a few words as well, Celia.
Push a little bit, yeah. Thank you. Thanks very much. Hello, everybody. I met Peter 24 years ago when he was made general manager of our Kailsriver branch. And I remember the time we were all very nervous. We didn't know who we were going to get. And there were a lot of rumors going around. And our plant at the time was not doing very well. We'd been without leadership for a long time. And we were nervous that we were going to close down. In fact, and that would have been terrible because a lot of jobs would have been lost. And then Peter arrived. And what a shock. He wasn't what we expected. Peter was special. He shot from the hip. You knew exactly where you stood with him. There were no niceties. He had the kindest heart. He had a heart of gold. But you know what? If you didn't do something right, he would crap you out with absolutely no hesitation. But you know what? He didn't hold any grudges. What he always would say, you know what? Didn't work out. You know now what to do. You do it. Shake hands. It's over. And that's the type of person he was. And we really appreciated that about him. I remember that the day before we started, he decided he was going to pay the night shift a visit, just to, see how things were going. Nobody knew. So he walked into the factory and machines weren't started and people were just milling around, and he thought, but hang on, the machine should be running. Goes upstairs to the supervisor's office, and there he is with his legs up on the desk having a nice fat chat with his girlfriend. Well, Peter said afterwards he'd never seen anybody jump up so suddenly. Everything just went all over the place. But that was Peter. Peter was the type of person that he went into the factory every morning and greeted everybody. He was present. He wasn't in an office. He was present. People knew who he was. Interesting story about him as well is it doesn't matter who you were. He had a strong sense of fairness. If you were wronged in any way, it didn't matter who you were. I remember the tea girl. I was in HR. I'm in HR, by the way. I remember the tea girl coming and laying a complaint for a senior member of staff. She felt he didn't treat her with respect. Well, Peter got both of them in there. And he heard the story, and he just said to the senior member of staff, but you know what? You were wrong. Apologize to her. And that got out in the factory, that no matter who you were, from the cleaner high up, if you were wrong, you were wrong, and you treated everybody with respect and dignity, because that's what Peter did. He treated everybody with respect and dignity. And I just think we're all so much better, for knowing him. He was a good listener. I know with me as well, with certain times in my career where I felt that I didn't quite know where I was heading, and I went and chatted to Peter. And you know what? He really helped me with certain things in my career. One of the things that we also learned about Peter, and we knew very quickly, is that Peter always used to say, if the housekeeping is right, what you were saying about the braai, if the housekeeping is right, everything falls into place. That factory, from what it looked like from when Peter started to what it was like a year later, it was like chalk and cheese. We got a corrugator shortly after you arrived, a brand new corrugator. And 10 years later, that thing, you could eat off it. It was so clean. Respect for what you possess with Peter was very important, and instilled that in all of us. And even today in my own life, I look at my home and I look to the clutter, and housekeeping. I know that's very important. So that's a lesson that I got from Peter. Peter worked hard. He led by example. He didn't just tell people what to do. If things, he had, the mechanical background. He came from an engineering background, as you know. So he had no qualms getting into the factory and under a machine if something didn't work out or there's a problem. He had great troubleshooting skills. Nobody could bull dust Peter about any of those machines not working and the reason why it was not working. He knew very quickly if he was being bull dusted as well. But the one thing about Peter that we all respected and we all loved is the fact that he was so open to everybody. Everybody in that factory loved him. When he arrived there from Nelspruit, we had people from Nelspruit phoning Peter and saying, please come back. And I remember once I sat at a conference up in Johannesburg and one of the general managers from one of our paper mills sat next to me and he asked, who do you report to? I said, Peter. He says, I've heard about him. Everybody loves him. What is his secret? But that was Peter. He was such a special person. We also, as much as we worked hard, we also had fun. I mean, I've got, some of our impact people here, and we know Dion, Pitty, Basil, Brian, Tracy. We had such fun times together. I remember times in Strathspey where we had times with our families. And the nice thing about Peter, he was very family orientated. It wasn't just us, it was our spouses as well. And we really appreciate it because not everybody does that. So we really appreciate it about Peter as well. And I remember the times at his house, the wonderful braais that we had, and I don't think his neighbor appreciated us very much, but we had fun. And I don't think many people can say that one has a boss and a friend, but Peter was a boss and a friend. And somehow or other, there was a good balance. You knew that just because he was your friend didn't mean that you couldn't do your job. You didn't do your job. He'd call you in very quickly if you didn't. And that's what we loved and so respected, about Peter as well. He was a true legend, and he's going to live in our hearts forever. Thanks very much.
Right. There's medication for that, Mark. Okay. Awesome. I don't know, is there anybody that would like to share a few words? If you feel that you would like to, we're going to just open the mic for anybody. This is the normal thing. Nobody really wants to get up and say something. But I want to, again, encourage every single one of you. You're going to have tea and cake in a short while, or tea and biscuits or something. I'm going to invite you to please share and speak about Peter, because that's why we are here. We're here to celebrate his life. I want to, just before we end, I want to read again what's in the pamphlet about the gone fishing. Gone fishing where the sky meets the sea. No more storms, just calm and free. As husband, you were a steady guide. As brother, you sailed right by our side. A father's hands, strong and true, taught us all that love can do. Grandfather's wisdom, quiet and deep, now rests with the waves in peaceful sleep. Though you cast your final line, we'll feel your pull time from time. In every ripple, every tide, your spirit's here by our side. I'm going to invite everybody to take a minute of silence in memory of Peter. And in that time, you can just in your own way think about and celebrate Peter's life. On behalf of the family, I would like to just share a very, very big thank you. A blanket thank you to each and every one of you, those that helped today, those that helped before, those that are there to support the many kind messages, everything. It truly is appreciated. And although we're not mentioning anybody by name, it is important that you remember that it is truly appreciated. However, I have been asked to thank Ange. Where's Ange? Ange, apparently you've done a lot to help this day happen. And Sharon wanted me to specifically say to you, thank you for your efforts today. But I know there's lots of other people that have done lots today as well. So thank you very much. I want to just invite everybody that once we're finished here, we're going to enjoy a cup of coffee together and a biscuit or whatever. And yeah, please feel free to share those stories, give hugs and just laughter. Many, 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 many laughs. Guys, are you ready to sing now? Goth. Oh, apparently there's some food upstairs. Are they going to bring the food down here? Sorry? Apparently I've missed Tiki. Tiki was his other child. Sorry? Fur baby. Yeah. I've got one of those. Jessie's her name. Beautiful. Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the time that you spent here. It really is appreciated, especially on a weekday. It really is appreciated. Thank you very much, and we'll see you either upstairs, downstairs, or wherever you're going to get you some food. Thank you.
Floating in the air, being with you gets me that way. I watch the sunlight dance across your face, and I've never been this swept away. All my thoughts just seem to settle on the breeze when I'm lying wrapped up in your arms. The whole world just fades away, and the only thing I hear is the beating of your heart. And I can feel you breathe, it's washing over me. And suddenly I'm melting into you. There's nothing left to prove. Baby, all we need is just to be caught up in the touch, slow and steady rush. Baby, isn't that the way that love's supposed to be? I can feel you breathe. As all the walls come tumbling down, closer than I've ever felt before. And I know, and you know, there's no need for words right now. And I can feel you breathe, washing over me. And suddenly I'm melting into you. There's nothing left to prove. Baby, all we need is just to be caught up in the touch, the slow and steady rush. And baby, isn't that the way that love's supposed to be? I can feel you breathe. Just breathe. I can feel the magic floating in the air. Being with you gets me there.